Hello there, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. I'm well and dandy, thank you. It's turning into quite a lovely morning here today. Birds are in full voice. Oh, it's just lovely. There's a bit of brightness to the day for once. Yay! So ostensibly, I've come down today to try and get some footage of the birds, because the other day when I was doing my big bird watch, I did put the camera on the feeders for a while, but no one came. I think it was just the wrong time of day. Never mind. Hopefully I'll get some nice footage of them today. But I was thinking about that last visit and the conversation I was having towards the end of the video about organic seeds. Sorry, excuse me, already reaching for the water bottle. And thinking about the expense and knowing that a lot of people will probably be screaming and hollering at me about the expense. So I've been thinking about this a lot in the last couple of days. And this is something I want to share with you, because I know there are going to be folk out there like me who are stony broke and who don't have any money to be chucking around. So I want today to talk about how I garden for very, very little money. There is some expense, but it's very little. And I'm not having a go at anyone who spends a lot of money on their plot. You know, if you've got the money and you're spending it on your plot and it's bringing you joy, that's all that matters in life, isn't it? You know, enjoy it. And if you want to give it your hard-earned cash in various ways, do it, go for it, because it's your joy, it's your passion, it's your hobby, it's your social club, it's sometimes a bit of food, whatever it is. Yeah, feel free to do whatever you want. But today I'm aiming this specifically at folk who think that they can't afford a vegetable garden, or, you know, are just a bit put off by, you know, the possibility of having to spend. So first things first, when you get your allotment site, check in your rules, contract, whatever it is, to see if there are any discounts available. So when I left work, it was around about the time that we were due to pay the next year's rent. So I had a look in our rules, and sure enough, there are discounts available. So there were discounts available for the over 65s. Brilliant. Let's encourage anyone who's retiring to have a garden. It's great exercise. It's really good socially. So, you know, I think a big issue for a lot of people leaving work is they're suddenly on their own at home a lot. So brilliant. Our council gives a nice discount for the over 65s, and it's a great incentive and encouragement to get out there. The other discounts are for people who are unwaged or have disability benefits. In other words, if you're on benefits, you get a discount. So I didn't fall into any of these categories. I've never taken benefits. I qualify because I'm living on so little, but I don't want to. I want to just see if I can live by my own hands, as it were. And I'm able to. You know, I'm poor, but I survive, and it's absolutely fine by me. So I thought, oh, what a pity I don't qualify. But I got in touch with the council, excuse me. I got in touch with the local council. I was speaking to someone in the benefits division to say, look, I don't want to claim any benefits. This is my situation. I'm living on less than someone who is on the dole or unemployment benefit. I think unemployment benefit is about, I don't know, it's like 70 or 80 quid a week. It's nothing, but I'm living on 40 quid a week, less sometimes. Is there any way I can kind of have some sort of proof to say that I'm not waged? Because okay, so sorry, in a roundabout way, I'll get my thoughts clear in a second. There are so many situations where you qualify for a discount if you can prove that you're unwaged, and the normal proof for that is you show your benefit card or whatever you get. I don't know what you get when you're on benefits. You might get a letter, I'm not sure. But of course I don't have that, I can't prove that. But when I spoke to this person at the council, They asked me to send in my books, as it were, and from that they could see how little I was living on. And so I did qualify for, there's a sort of a card in my borough, I can't remember what it's called now, a lifestyle card, I can't remember. Anyway, I qualified for that, so I got it, brilliant, and it's amazing. It gets me, I can have, for instance, a reduced price swim at the local swimming pool. It's still a bit too much for me to afford at the moment, but never mind. But the big thing was it allowed me to have a reduction for my rent on the plot. So I think it gives me a 25% reduction. So check in your area, check what the rules are for your site, see if they offer a reduction for whatever category. If you don't fall into one of those categories, but you're really, really broke, speak to the committee, speak to your local council, whoever it is, if it might be a parish run site, a charity run site, whatever it is. Don't just look at the rules and think, oh, I'm ruled out. If you're really, really struggling financially, speak to someone and it may be that you can get a reduction. So instead of paying, I think it's about £52 a year here, I now get it for £36 a year. Brilliant. So that's just under £1 a week. Yay! So you've got your plot. Then what do you do? You need to dig it over, you need to do this, you need to do that. So the thing about tools, the first thing I would say is, yes, you could buy a load of tools and they really massively range in price. I would say it's not worth buying cheap tools. It's just not worth it. You're wasting your money, they'll break. Decent tools though cost quite a lot of money. So another thing to do is check with your committee, see if there are communal tools available for use. So for example, on my site, quite often if someone gets given a gorgeous new fork, for instance, they'll give their old one up and it goes into our community shed. So anyone who's just starting out, especially if you've never done it before, because you might find after 6 months you don't like it. I don't imagine that would be the case. I think you'd probably find that you just don't have time for it. But yeah, rather than laying out on all your tools to start with, or certainly the case here, people can borrow the communal tools, and you can literally get stuck in straight away with only having had to pay your rent, and that's it. So yeah, check out to see if there are community tools available, and then as you find that you're loving your allotment life and you want to start having some of your own tools, look at things like Freecycle, Gumtree, look in your local newsagents, local newspapers, that sort of thing. Quite often people are getting rid of stuff and they don't want any money at all. Sometimes people just want a couple of quid here or there. Car boot sales are another great source of for buying tools, although I'm always kind of slightly worried about car boot sales, that things have been nicked. I'm not sure, but anyway, it is possible to get yourself a load of tools for next to nothing. And like I say, when you initially start, do ask around, do ask your committee. There may be a tool share scheme on your site. So that's tools. I've jotted things down here because there's so much I want to talk about. Well, not a huge amount, but I didn't want to forget anything. And the other thing about Freecycle and Gumtree and all those places, so this is specifically in the UK. If you're anywhere else in the world, you will know your equivalent. Quite often there are Facebook groups for a local area. I know in my area I belong to 2 Facebook groups because where I live borders 2 little villages, as it were. And there's always tons of stuff being given away for free. It's amazing. So these are really good places to look for things like sheds and greenhouses. So if you're allowed a shed or allowed a greenhouse or both on your site, don't be in a hurry to have them, but just get a bit obsessive about checking your local Freecycle group. The thing for me is so much of my plot has happened over time. It's been a gradual process. When I see something that I need that's on Freecycle, I'll have it. Yeah, there's been things I've bought in the meantime. Like the water butt, I was looking for a water butt on Freecycle for 2-3 years or more, and a couple came up, but they were miles and miles away, and I don't have any way of carrying them other than public transport, and it was not going to happen. But if you're not in a hurry for things, check out Freecycle. Sheds, greenhouses, tools, what have you, what have you, what have you. So the other thing when you first start out, don't worry about things. For instance, first of all, don't be looking at other people's plots and thinking, oh, I'm never going to have a plot as nice as that. It doesn't matter what someone else's plot is like. This is your plot. It's for your pleasure. So don't worry about what other people are doing. And don't think when you first arrive, I have to have raised beds. I have to have beautiful wood chip paths. I have to have this. I have to have that. All you need when you first start are a couple of tools, spade, fork, what have you, and a ton of energy and commitment and passion. That's all you need. That's all you need. Hard work. That's the crux of it. You just need to be prepared to do some hard work. Hard work doesn't cost anything though, does it? It's free. Yay! So don't concern yourself about, you know, buying things like raised beds and all that nonsense. I don't mean nonsense as in their nonsense. I just mean initially. Over time, you'll get used to looking in skips. Anyone who's been watching my channel for a while now knows how much I love a good skip dive. My goodness. So my window behind came out of a skip. Most of the wood in the shed for all my shelves and fit out, most of it's out of a skip. It's cost me nothing. The paint, all this paint, it's from Freecycle. Didn't pay for any of it. It's all cost me nothing. And I think it's gorgeous. So yeah, if you're not in a hurry, and don't be in a hurry about building stuff and raised beds and all that kind of thing, like I say, just get stuck into the soil, get your beds open. If it's all grass and you know, dig it out, get yourself some beds open and build raised beds later on. You don't need them to be able to grow vegetables. That's the point of, I suppose, everything I'm saying today is there's so much stuff you don't need to spend money on to be able to grow vegetables. So, things like, oh, sorry, my phone's going a bit silly. Just bear with me a second. There we go. Should have turned it off earlier. Sorry. Yes, pots for growing your seeds in. I've hardly had to buy any pots whatsoever. Yay! So the vast majority of my pots have been chucked out by other people on my site. So again, if you're new to an allotment, just check to see if your site has a communal area somewhere where people can share their leftover stuff, whether it's plants, seedlings, if they're chucking stuff out but they're offering it to other people. On our share table here, there are always dozens and dozens and dozens of plastic pots. People buy their plants from a garden centre, it comes in a pot, they plant it in the garden, chuck the pot away. I grab them. So like I said, I've hardly had to spend anything on pots. And the other thing, of course, is you can make your own pots out of paper. So I do use a paper pot maker, which I think it was about £8 or £9 mine cost. You can get them cheaper, but they're not FSC certified, so I wouldn't buy the cheaper one. But you don't even need a pot maker to make your paper pots. You can use a jam jar, a wine bottle, anything round, or you can do the origami ones. If you're wondering, I did do a video on that last year. I'll try to remember to put the link in for making pots. So that's another way. And the newspaper I use to make my pots all comes from the railway station. It's all leftover free newspaper at the end of the day, so I recycle it into pots. Somewhere else you could think about looking for pots is if you've got a local garden centre or nursery, or even one of the big places like B&Q, that sort of place. Go along, ask them what they do with their old pots that they're getting rid of. I'm sure a lot of places will be more than happy for you to take their excess plastic pots off their hands, because it's getting harder and harder to dispose of these things these days. So yeah, pop along, you know, familiarise yourself with your local nursery, introduce yourself and ask them very nicely, do you ever throw things out? Please, may I help myself? Find out what day they throw things out, if they have a particular pile around the back of their business where they throw things out, and make sure you've got their permission, but then go and help yourself to what you need. Yay! Where are we? I've scrawled in such tiny writing. Ah, yes, so here comes the most important bit, really, and this was kind of what prompted me from the other day when I was talking about organic seed. So let's assume you've got your plot and you can get a reduced rate for it. Yay! Let's assume you can borrow some tools for now until you can save up for and buy some of your own. Let's assume you can get hold of some second-hand pots that other people are throwing away. Whatever you manage to get hold of for free, you are still going to need some seeds, because let's face it, without seeds we won't have a garden. Now, I was talking the other day about organic seed and how important that is to me, and I would encourage everyone to use organic seed. It is expensive. It's very expensive compared to non-organic. I reckon in most cases it's probably double the price. So if you're just starting out, I would say, again, it's worth asking your community in the site, do you have a stash of spare seeds anywhere? I know that we keep a stash, and any of us who've got some spare seed, we always put it into our community seed chest, as it were, so that anyone who's new and just starting out, they can, in theory, they could do it for absolutely nothing, because there'd be enough seed there for them to have a go at all sorts of things. Find out in your area if there are any seed swap events. Yeah, you could probably do that again through something like Facebook or whatever. This is where social media is great, isn't it? Where you can put your requests out to the universe and then hopefully be flooded with responses. Obviously, something like a seed swap, you're thinking, well, I've got nothing to swap my seeds with. So it may be, I mean, maybe ask for seeds for Christmas before you're getting into your gardening year. It may be that you will have an initial layout for seeds, but as time goes on you can save more and more of your own seed. And so, exactly as I was saying the other day, I never buy tomato seeds anymore. I bought some 5 or 6 years ago, haven't bought since because I don't need to, because I save my own. So I would say probably the thing with seeds are going to be one of those possible can't get away from having to spend money initially, but over time you will be able to start to save. And then as you're harvesting your own seed, if you're harvesting enough to then to be able to, you know, be at swap events, then hopefully you can do a combination of saving and swapping and spend less and less. I reckon now, it's just getting chilly, put the scarf on, I reckon these days my seed order, it varies from year to year depending on, because for instance, you know, a packet of seeds for brassicas, quite often you get 400 or 500 seeds in there. I can't possibly use that many. So sometimes a packet of brassica seeds will last me 3 or 4 years. So I would say that on average, I probably spend about £25 each year on seeds. So that's sort of £25 plus, let's say my old rent of 50 quid, £75 a year, it's still under £2 a week. So what I do now, or I have done for the last 3 or 4 years, is as my income is coming and going, I have a little standing order for, I can't remember how much my standing order is now. What do I do in it? 10 quid, yeah. I have a standing order, a monthly standing order for £10 that goes into my little savings account. So that at the end of the year, or by the time a year's gone by, there's 120 quid there, and that's everything for my garden for the next year. So that's my rent, my seeds, etc, etc. So if you just got a plot, you won't have possibly known you were just going to get it, so you wouldn't have been saving for it. But I would highly recommend, even if you do it with you know, a jam jar at home or something, is just each week put a couple of quid into the jar, so that by the end of the year you've got about 100 quid or so, and that should, for the following year, that should pay your rent and your seeds. And let's face it, 2 quid a week isn't going to feel quite as nasty as £100 in February each year. Anyway, that's what I do. I've managed, you know, I've managed over the years to spend so little. There have been expenses from time to time. I bought a wheelbarrow. I just decided I needed a wheelbarrow. It's when I was building the shed and I was carting massive, massive paving slabs for the base for the shed. Lots of sand, things like that. All the paving for underneath my shed. That was all Freecycled too. It was outside someone's house. I went and knocked on the door and I said, "Are you getting rid of those?" "Yes." "Could I have them?" Oh, they were delighted, because for them to have had them taken away by the council would have cost. For me, brilliant. So yeah, I have had to buy a few things over the years. So much though of what I have has, you know, I've had Christmas presents. That's lovely. Always little bits and bobs for the garden. But you know, the vast majority of what I've done has been out of skips, out of seed saving, out of swapping seed with friends. It's doable. That's what I'm trying to say, I suppose. It's doable for 100 quid a year. It's doable for 2 quid a week. That's a crazy thought, isn't it? It's crazy to think that for £2 a week, I'm feeding myself all year, and it's the majority of my food. It's not just a couple of veg on the side with a Sunday roast once a week. This is my food every single day throughout the year for a couple of quid a week. Yay! Anyway, I'm gonna wrap. Oh, my knee! I just bent my knee in the wrong direction. I'm gonna. Oh, that was a naughty one. I'm gonna wrap up now. But I hope that's kind of inspired you and encouraged you to think, yeah, I can give it a go. I'm broke, but I can give it a go. And wow, isn't it worth a go? Yay! I cannot imagine my life any other way than how it is now. And it's blooming marvellous. I'm so grateful to have this little piece of rented land for 36 quid a year. Best thing that ever happened to me. Alright, my lovelies, I am going to say cheerio to you all for now. Have fun poking in skips, or what do you call it in America? Dumpster diving. I kind of think that sounds worse than skip diving, because dumpster diving makes me think of really smelly bins. I think our skips and dumpsters are different. I'm not sure. Skips here are usually building materials and that sort of thing, rather than waste. I don't know. Anyway, digressing, daydreaming. Do you know what it is? I'm suddenly daydreaming about going and looking in some skips. I think that's what I might do. On my way home now, well, I'm going to do a bit of work, but on my way home, I'm going to go and have a poke to see if there's any new skips have appeared in my area. So, I hope I'll see you all again really soon. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves, stay well, and have fun whatever you're up to.